So without further ado, I'm going to spotlight Caroline and hand over.
Hi, I'm Caroline. If you look at the cards, my cards are going to now look backwards, so I'm just going to read it out. To start off the stocking, I used a cardboard template. So I don't know if any of you have already made a cardboard template, or if you want 5 minutes to just draw a boot. I've made mine about 7 inches long and 6.5 inches wide. This is the widest part, is the foot part. I haven't made it overly big. You could make it bigger. It's entirely up to yourselves. But once you've got the initial pattern, it's very easy. Yep.
Caroline, I'm not feeling too well today, so I'm just going to watch to see what you're doing, but I did get the template.
Okay, no worries.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
So
okay.
I haven't made a template, so I'm just going to draw straight onto my fabric freehand.
Oh, you're very brave.
So mine's going to be a little bit, it might look like a stocking, it might not. We'll just have to. But what I'm thinking is I can draw one, then use that as a guide for the others.
Yes, you could. And you need 4 of these, but 2 in one fabric and 2 in the other. So I'm going to get my fabric, lay it down and see if I can show you on the computer.
Just for everyone's benefit, I'm just going to share my screen real quick and show you slide 1. So there you are. That's the sort of shape you're after. Just a template, like Caroline said, 6 inches long by 6 inches wide. Hopefully everyone can see that. Can you all see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
I need to lose my bit of chalk. So, can I get this on my... Can you see my piece of fabric? I'm going to draw around it with my chalk. Now, this is 1 minute. Do you know what? I'm going to get assistance. Thank you very much. So, I'm going to draw around my boot shape. This is one of the children's chalks, but it works just as well as any other chalk. Then I'm going to turn it over this way. So that's your opposite boot. So they're ready to cut. And I'll get my other fabric, in which I'm using white. So the same again, put my boot onto my fabric. With this, I've got a disappearing pen, but you can't see it on the other fabric because it's a dark coloured fabric, so that's why I use the chalk. Chalk comes off very easy, and this, shh, you can't talk. But the pen disappears after half an hour or so. So then again, flip it over, draw around. You get a nice pair of scissors, material scissors, and cut out your shapes. Did you manage? Was that easy enough to see? Don't hold in the computer for me.
Yeah, so I'm just going to show you what I'm doing because I didn't cut it out. I've cut out my first one here.
Oh yes.
My fabric down there. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm just going to lay that on there, and because like Caroline says, I want one side one way and one the other way. I'm going to lay. I drew it out on the reverse side of the fabric, but this time I'm going to cut out the other one so it's facing in the way like that. Although I really want that bird on the middle of it, so I'm going to put it right there, and let's see how it works out. One thing that I didn't do that I should have done and is really helpful is if you iron your fabric first, because it makes it so much easier to sew if you've ironed your fabric.
Yeah, very true.
So I'm just going to draw straight around that with so rather than using the chalk cardboard template, I'm I'm just going to draw around, being very careful to stay somewhat reasonably within the lines. And you see, I'm drawing it on the reverse side of the fabric. So this isn't the pattern side. Now, just doing this kind of freehand. So this is honestly a cardboard template. It's really, really worth spending that 2 minutes or so just to make a very quick cardboard template. See, I missed that one there. So now I've got, can you see the color okay there? There's a red line.
Yeah, you can see the shape.
Yeah. So now I just need to cut that out, and then that gives me a left side and a right side.
Okay. So once you've got all your pieces, which I have here. Can you see that?
If you can just angle down just a little bit.
Is that it?
That's better. Or maybe come back a little bit as well. Perfect.
Right. Now, I should have done this correctly. Yes, I've got the wrong book. So, now these are all on the inside out. So, yeah, as Chris said, I should have ironed it. So you want to match these up. And this is how you want it to look before we've done any sewing. It's okay, hon. Then I want you to grab these two sides, line that up there, make sure it's all nice and flat, and pin just here. The same with this one. Have I done that the right way, maybe? No, I haven't.
Can I just ask Caroline, when this is sewn, are we going to have them?
Yeah, we're working from inside out.
So it's going to be, I think the question I'm asking is, so I've got this fabric, and then I've also got this
put my
fabric.
camera back up. 1 second. Okay, I'm here.
I got these two fabrics here. So I got the white one and the red one. I want the white one on the outside and the red one on the inside.
So it's going to turn out to be a complete sock when we're done. And this will be my outside fabric on this side. And this will be my inside fabric.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I think so. You've just got what you've cut out there, yeah?
No, this is a separate piece. I've sewn these earlier on.
Okay, so there's 4 pieces of fabric on that one there.
Yes.
Right, okay.
This will be my inside sock, and this will be my outside sock.
Okay.
But I could make this my outside sock and this my inside sock if I want.
All right.
As long as you've got these two pairing and these two pairing. Because I did do one where I had a different material here and a different material here. It still worked, but it didn't have, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is kind of one of these ones that you have to make.
Yeah, this card here absolutely helps. That's why I've coloured it in green and red, so that and you keep to that shape, and that just keeps you on the right track. Because I've got myself confused a couple of times.
Easily done.
Yeah, I know.
So, Caroline, are you just sewing the top of the
Yes, just at the moment, I'm just putting a hem on top of the two socks, the red and the white, sewing them together, but I'm putting the hem here in the middle, where the pin is. So,
okay.
So
let me just share this screen again here. So we've cut out.
We want number 3.
So we've cut those out. And then, sorry, I was going very slow. And then we cut 4 pieces of fabric to the size of the template, 2 one way, 2 the other way. And then we're sewing the seams together. So we're just sewing along the top lines there, yeah, Caroline?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So put my machine on, sew my seams.
Is at least 40
So for those doing the hand sewing, hopefully you're still with us. The only problem I've got is I've got red chalk on red, on red fabric.
Your chalk will dust off though, Chris.
Yeah, it's okay. I was more worried that I wouldn't be able to see the lines I've drawn.
Oh, right, okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Is everyone keeping up? Anyone need to see anything again? Like I said at the start as well, this will be on YouTube eventually. Hopefully before Christmas. In fact, definitely before Christmas. I'm going to put this one on my priority list, so you will be able to come back and have a look again.
So it should look like this. I've left it in the blue stitching so you can see. And then that's it together. And you want to do that with both socks.
Now, well, for the hand sewers, no, I've made this really difficult for myself because I'm rushing. It's like anything, preparation is really key. If you prepare your fabric in advance and you have everything laid out ready, it makes it so much easier. But for those, so Caroline, are you sewing a seam?
Yes, just like a hem, really, yeah, at the top. You're not going to see that. That's all going to be tucked in later.
So do I want
How big is the seam? Is it?
I'd say about an inch. Just give yourself,
1 inch?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do any more. Half an inch to an inch. As long as you've got both fabrics caught on, make sure that because you're working with double fabrics, that you haven't missed a part, because then you'll have a hole that you don't want.
And also, Caroline, so I got my two fabrics here. They're both the right sides. So
right,
come backwards. So do I want when I'm sewing the seam? Do I want them right sides facing in?
You want the seam to be on the outside of your fabrics.
So I want the right side facing. The bit that I want to see, I want that facing out the way.
Yes. So your seam will be tucked. There's the seam, and there's the fabric that you're using. Do you see? So you're sewing it at the back.
I think it means you need to put the right sides of the fabric together before you sew.
Yes.
And then I think that's what I'm asking.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Right sides in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Cool. All right. My red one's so crumpled. All right. For those who are hand sewing, we're just going to do a very simple running stitch. It makes it a whole lot easier if you are using a sewing machine, but not everyone has access to a sewing machine. Although if you're in Stirling, you can borrow a sewing machine from Transition Stirling. I think we've got just one on at the minute. We do have 3 currently, but one's out with a volunteer making face masks. But the other one's available. Sorry, Caroline, carry on.
Remember when you're doing your sewing on the machine to do your back stitch at the beginning of your hem and the end of your hem, just to make it more secure.
And if you are hand sewing, this is a little tip that I learned from Michaela, one of our other presenters, to put a really easy knot in the thread. Just wrap it around your finger a couple of times and then just pull it off your finger and then pull. You get quite an ugly knot, but it's nice and easy and nice and secure. And then lost the needle. So I'm just going to thread the needle again. And the running stitch, I'm just going to go over the first stitch a couple of times. I'm going to just take that through there. And that's through the knot there. And then I'm actually only really doing about a centimetre seam here, if that actually. So I've just gone over that a couple of times. And then the running stitch, this should be secure enough. I'm just going in and out, in and out. The closer your stitches, the stronger it will be. So it's just in and out like that. I'll show you on the red one so you can see it a bit easier. In and out, in and out, in and out. And just do that, and I'll hand back over to Caroline.
Okay, so now that your two socks are sewn together, we want to sew it outside in. So I want to place, so this is the outside and the inside of the, so try and get this. It's really difficult to work a laptop and
this is the hardest thing about Zoom workshops is camera angle.
Try and line up your two seams. Pin it. It doesn't have to be pinned all the way around, but as long as you've pinned it securely so that you're not got any bits that are hanging off, hanging out.
Is that right sides together again?
No, this is the inside. This is the inside. We're working from the inside out. So that's the outside of the fabrics on both sides.
Yeah.
So the inside of the sock is in the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So this, you see your hem on both sides.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what? So that's you've got your wee flappy bits.
Mm.
Angle down a little bit, Caroline.
Pardon?
Angle your screen down a little bit. Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to line up this bit in here, so you make sure that they're in line with each other, the white and the red.
You have to hold it up again, Caroline.
You see there?
Yeah.
So you want to line them up so that your sock is almost the same size each side. It's probably not going to be perfect because not one of mine has been yet. And then I put just a pin in here just to secure it. And if you've got quite thick fabric, it's probably a good idea to go and iron this bit at the moment before you start, just to keep it nice and flat, and make sure you have a needle in that can withstand that kind of thickness. Are we there? Oh.
What number are we on now? Join boots. Hem must face the outside on both sides.
Yes.
Hem must face outside. Okay. Yeah. Right. I must say, Caroline, I think I'm feeling about 50% that my first one's going to actually work.
I made about 10, and yeah. I'd say at least 3 or 4 went wrong. But once I got it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a lot with sewing, like the first. I mean, I'm like I say, I'm not a sewer by any stretch. I've done a little bit with transition, and my mum showed me a few things, but it's always like.
Well, I'm not nothing fabulous, but I can make bags and make little things, and I've made a skirt and stuff, but I really don't enjoy dressmaking.
Oh, that's another level, that.
Yeah, that's just too stressful. But little things, scrunchies, key rings, stockings, things that use up fabric and don't cost a lot of money. I made some juggling balls today. I made two sets of juggling balls for stocking fillers. Oh. I got some of that carrot, Kevin the Carrot material. Is it Lidl's or Aldi's? I don't know. One of them sell it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my child thinks that I'm the most amazing person on the earth.
That's good.
I know. Because I've made a couple of juggling balls with some rice in.
Is everyone following okay? Anyone?
We're just waiting for you, I think, Chris. You're behind.
That makes a change, doesn't it? You might as well, I think, go on to the next stage. Just before we head on, actually, if anyone wants to find Caroline
if I'm going too far for you, just say.
If anyone wants to find Caroline, if anyone wants to find Caroline on Facebook, it's what is it? Caroline Jones Community Artist on Facebook.
Yes.
Some nice stuff on there. Some inspirational stuff, I think.
Thank you, Chris. So we'll now put our two outsides facing outside, if you get my drift. So you've got your outside and your outside, and everything should match up. Both socks should be looking rather good. And I've put a little cross here just to say that's where I'm going to leave about 2 or 3 inches here. I've chose this side because this side is going to be my inside piece of sock. And I can put a little bit of ribbon in here later on to use to hang, but we'll worry about that after. So I'm going to start sewing on the machine just after my cross. Then I'm going to go all the way around my sock, all the way around the white sock, back to my cross. And then I'm going to stop before I get to the cross. So that's going to leave me enough room to take that from inside out. So sorry about the machine noise. I won't take long.
How much opening are you leaving when you're sewing?
I say about. It depends how much you feel comfortable with. Say 2 to 3 inches should be adequate. Just a bit. I mean, if you've got like arthritis-y hands or something, and you find like it a bit tricky, just leave the gap a bit more open. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just going to hand sew that at the end. It's not a big deal. It's just a little. So right, I'm going to start and go around my sock and making sure that everything's all aligned up before I start. And then I'm going to do my forward and backward stitch to begin and end with, just to make it secure, because as soon as I put my hand in, the stitch would rip if I didn't put my backward stitch in.
For the hand stitches, the equivalent of forwards and backwards, the reason you do a forwards and backwards stitch on the machine is just to secure everything, because you're going over it a couple of times. For the hand sewers, I've just gone over my last stitch a couple of times. I just spotlight myself there. So I've just gone over it a couple of times there. I don't know if you can see white thread on white fabric. There we go. And then I've got a loop here. I've not actually left myself much to go on there, but I've got a loop, which is the last little bit of fabric that's coming through. And if I can, I'm just going to put my needle through that loop, and then that'll tie a knot in that fabric there, and that'll keep it nice and secure. Like I said, I've not really left myself much to go on, so I'm going to see if I can get away with putting another one in there. But I generally like to put 2 or 3 knots in at the end, just makes it nice and secure. Three is probably a little bit overkill, but better to be safe than sorry, I think. You know what? Because my tired eyes are failing me, I'm going to leave it at 1 today. But you get the idea. Cut off the excess. So now I'm at the stage that Caroline was at there. Not as neat, because I didn't use a template, and I didn't. What was the other thing I didn't do? Yeah, I didn't use a template, and I rushed it, and I haven't ironed my fabric. Do as I say, not as I do. So now I'm putting them together like that. I'm just going to sew around the outside per Caroline's previous instructions. And if Caroline, you want to give us a shout when you're done there. I muted you there, so you don't have to worry.
That's okay. Thank you, because I didn't know how to do it. I'm not very technical. So there's my sock as one. I want to take all the pins out so that I don't stab myself when I take it from inside out. Make sure they're all out. And another little trick is almost feather the corners with your scissors, just causing a little, so that you've got a bit of movement, and that'll help with the circular shape when you take your stocking out.
Just saying, I didn't pin my fabric either. I've just done.
I'm looking at the bottom there thinking, well.
I've just done everything, everything on the fly.
So I've made that nice, and it makes it a bit more easy for movement. So remember, I left my little hole. So there's my little hole, and I'm going to bring the whole thing out, and it's going to look like magic, and it's please going to work. So there we go. I'm
just going back a stage there. You said the seams are facing outside when I'm sewing it together. So
you want all your the hem lines on the outside of the.
Yeah, because we turn it inside out and then they end up on the inside.
Yeah.
This is one thing that
all your sins inside the sock. You're not going to see any of your mistakes.
All right. All of them. Is that all my mistakes that I've ever made in my life are going to go into the stocking?
Well, okay. Maybe that's going a bit far, but you know.
Oh.
All your sewing mistakes that you did on this project will be hidden inside.
That's good enough.
So I'm going to give it a wee bit of a slam, just to. This material's a tad thicker, but I really like this material. It's a bit of upholstery material, but it looks really good for Christmas, red and white.
Yeah, all the material that I sent out to everyone, which, like I say, should be coming soon. That was all upholstery or curtain material that we were gifted. So it's nice quality stuff. Actually, it's quite.
Yeah, it's great to use actually for these little projects. Great to use it up. So this is what it should look like. Looks all right, doesn't it?
Okay.
To now put this, so we've still got this wee hole here that we can put our tab in later, but we're going to see what it looks like. We're going to now tuck our white sock inside our red sock. And then, as if by magic, we'll turn it over. Just fiddle around a little bit so it's looking all nice and straight. And there we go. The teeny weeny stocking. I'm fear chuffed, sorry.
What happens to the...
When it comes out, I think, oh wow, how did I do that? So I've got some more.
What happens about the bit that was open? You know, the bit on the side.
So it's still there. So we've got a bit of ribbon kicking about. See with this one? I'll put the ribbon on the outside. 1 minute, I'll get my box of ribbon.
Okay.
Just
while I see. Okay.
While that's happening, I'm just going to come back to this here. So we've sewn all of them.
That's for the ribbon. Oh.
Yeah, you can put your wee bit ribbon in there and then hand sew it up. You see?
Okay.
And then
you're just doing a blind stitch on that when you're sewing it up.
Yeah. I mean, it's your inside, but I mean, you could cheat and use a little bit of fabric glue or something as well. You could just, you didn't want to do any more sewing, just glue it in there. And then I had my daughter had these nice little Christmassy tinsely things that I've sewn on, and then I made a bigger one with just a bigger cardboard template, and then put these little things on and a little tabby thing. So yeah, I've been going
some holly as well.
Yeah, I've been going mad. These were just little badges I had kicking about, so I just stuck that on. Buttons. There's all sorts. I've got a nice silk one I made. This almost looks like Santa would wear it. It's like a silky material with a nice fluffy white material inside. And I just put a little stitch in the back here with a bit of ribbon. So I've just put 2 little stitches in, hand stitches, and then tied up the ribbon once I'd stitched it in. And then that makes a nice wee hanging thing for your tree. And as I say, you can make them bigger, smaller. Well, smaller might be a bit more difficult, but any size. And these are just, from your dresses and your tops. That's just little bits of ribbon that you get inside. They're cut up and keep in a little collection so that's free ribbon. It doesn't cost you anything.
So do you have to use like a fleecy fabric for the inside?
No,
because like the ones you see in the shops, they're always got like fleecy bit cuff.
This one I've just used a white cotton inside.
So could I use an old sheet or an old pillowcase?
Yes.
It doesn't really matter. It's only the top, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
It's like the linings inside your socket, so you can use anything. I just used scrap pieces that I had kicking about. So I would never buy a new piece of material for something like this. So if you've got old Christmas bedding and things like that, I suppose you could use that up and
always
or buy some from the charity shop. Charity shops are really quite good for stuff like that. So.
And if you've got a curtain shop or an upholstery place near you, go to them and see if they've got. We've got books and books that were donated, books of sample fabrics that were donated to us. A lot of places will be happy to see the back of them sometimes. So you can always ask. Most they'll say is no, but like scrap stores as well. Have a look at your scrap store.
Yes, and you can also get scraps, like bits of fabric online, offcuts. You'll get a little bundle of different. I've done it myself just to get some different fabrics, especially Christmas fabrics. So, And this year,
I don't know if I'm allowed to advertise, but sometimes if you go to places like IKEA, and you get like slight seconds, and sometimes they have the fabric offcuts, and then they also have slight seconds of like cushion covers, and you could use those as well because they heavily reduce them. And so it's always worth looking in the bargain section.
I'm always in the bargain section. And this year I'm going to use these for gifts. I've put a little candy cane in and a little present for my auntie. So I'm not really needing to use wrapping paper this year, although I did wrap that for her because it was being nice.
I may have made a mistake. I don't know. Okay. I spotlight the wrong video there.
Yeah.
Does it matter where I leave the opening?
Does it matter where you leave the? No.
I made my opening down at the bottom here.
Yeah, I was just suggesting that you left it at the back bit because it was easier just to put a bit of ribbon in. But you can add a bit of ribbon later. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So it's not a mistake. Don't worry. And you don't even have to have a ribbon if you don't want to. You can just have it sitting at the bottom of the tree.
Aye, that's true. So once I've done that there, I turn it inside out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the magic bit. This is my favourite bit.
I didn't quite. Do I want to secure my thread here as well?
Yes, so you don't split it.
Okay. So again, just pull it through. So I'm just nicking the fabric a little bit there, and taking. Oh man, I live life on the edge, me.
Oh, did you not leave yourself very much thread?
Hardly any seam allowance, and hardly anything. This is going to be the most ramshackle stocking you've ever seen, I think.
Well, I think, but once you've got it the first time, honestly, it gets easier, and then just keep making them. And because I've made them quite small, I've managed to fill my Christmas tree with them.
All right.
And it's not cost me any money. I love it.
My running stitch was very loose as well, so hopefully it's going to stand up to the punishment of turning it inside out. Or right side out, outside out.
Yeah, you just confused me. Don't make it matters worse.
Confusing myself.
Gosh, this is interesting.
No, it's a crucial moment. Like, oh my God, will it work? Will it not?
Because I suppose if you're stitching that last bit on the inside, on the boots, on the toe, then you wouldn't see it. You see,
no, you wouldn't.
So when you put the lining inside, you wouldn't see it.
No, you wouldn't.
So that's one advantage of doing that. Although it's a little bit mind bending.
Yeah,
That's
I got
amazing.
it wrong a couple of times when I first did it.
See what
Because
you
last
did
year
there,
I did
Caroline?
it, we made the stocking and then added the cuff. But this way I just feel once you get to grips with it, it's a much easier technique. It's just getting to grips with it.
It's all
There
right.
you go,
It's
it's
a little.
looking a bit sock-like.
It's certainly sock-like. Yeah, my threads are a little bit messy up here. So, but I know what I've done there. I didn't give myself. I didn't tuck the seam in enough. I didn't give myself enough seam.
Did you get your picture where you wanted it though?
I did.
Yes, yes you did. Yes.
Very
I
nice.
was a bit worried when I cut it out. I was a bit worried because it looked. See if I can find it. Another one here. It was about on that bit there. I was a bit worried that it might look like the cat was attacking the bird, but I think I got away with it. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's not bad. Not bad for a first attempt.
Yeah. So the blind stitch. How we're doing? How we're doing that?
How are you doing the blind stitch? Well, you would just, before you tuck it in, I would just put the stitch in. Do you know what I mean? Just give it a, before you...
Have you closed yours up already?
Inside out as one. So, take mine out. Just stitch it when you're... So, put your needle in and sort of hide it underneath so that you've not got your threads. And then I would just work from the inside, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, I think so. I've done it once.
But it doesn't. If this is your inside piece, it doesn't have to be perfect because no one's going to see this bit. So only if you were doing it on this bit, then you would be a bit more careful because that's the one that.
How would you not do it on the outside?
Pardon?
I don't understand how you could be sewing the inside to finish it off.
Can you do an overstitch? You know, like a, I don't know what you call it, like on a slant.
I just go over it with the machine and cheat.
Would you not see your stitch then?
Yeah, but because that's on the white, because I've got white material there, I just use a white thread, and you would barely see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who's going to examine it that carefully?
I will.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just nicking the fabric on the inside of the seam there.
Yeah.
Just coming in and through. Oh, I see. So you've got to be trying to get it on the. Oh dear. Oh, I've messed that up already.
So it's just so your knot's in the inside. So you want to.
Ow. Okay, thimble's handy.
Yeah.
Especially on this thick fabric. Okay, yeah, I see. So I'm just coming in on the inside there, just getting the inside
just catching the
fold of the
material
fabric
from the inside.
Okay.
It's a little bit more tricky, but if you want it to be just so, then. But you could just do, as the lady said, just what did you call the stitch?
I don't know if it's called like an overstitch. It goes at a slant.
Yeah.
Or some people do it. Some people do it at right angles to the fabric seam.
Like a blanket stitch.
Not quite like a blanket stitch. It's very, very small. You know, you don't see it. It's very small stitch.
So would I be doing it? That's the bottom of the seam there. Would I be doing it? Through?
Well, I mean, I would normally go like slanted because I find that easier. But some people prefer to go right angles to the seam because it looks neater. I don't know if
on the inside.
You understand what I mean?
I think that might be beyond my capabilities.
I don't know. I think
I did it a little bit with one of mine, and I just kept pricking myself with a needle, so I just gave up and just did it quickly.
Don't succeed.
It's a bit difficult because, like, you just pick up like a couple of millimeters at the edge of the fabric to close it up, but it's a
little bit fiddly.
I mean, if you were to do it again, I would say, because I thought you were going to put the white on the inside, so I would say leave the gap on the red side. That looks all right.
You should see it close up. So we've got some pretty ropey threads there. A hole in the sock there. Hang on, I need one.
Honestly, he's usually a much better sewer than this.
I think I was rushing. I'd do that a little bit faster on the machine. Yeah,
Sorry.
I guess the test is, does it hold something?
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's held it. Yeah. If you got that as a chocolate, you'd be happy. Holds that. It's fine.
Quite happy with the threads. It's okay.
I might pick some thread, neaten it up a little.
Do you agree once you've got the? But you agree, but once you've got the thing in your head, that it's relatively easy after you've,
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And also, I think, sorry, go on.
After a couple of trials and errors, it is pretty easy to follow. But I would say that this card is the crucial one to, out of them all.
Yeah.
As long as they're all facing this way, you're doing something right. So
one thing I know as well now is how the different colours end up, because I didn't know whether it would be white and red or all white and red on the inside. So that makes things sort of in my head a little more. And I think also, coming back to what I said at the start, I'd make a template, I'd cut it properly, I'd give a proper seam allowance, I'd pin it, I didn't use any pins. So I think a lot of the neatness will come from trying and also doing things neat and ironing the fabric as well.
Yeah. So I showed you how to do it, and Chris showed you how not to do it.
Yeah, it's like we planned it, isn't it? I remember we did a face mask making one, and I was following along with Michaela. And then right at the last little bit, I realised that I'd sewn everything together and couldn't turn it inside out. But I'd done it in such a way that I had to, that was it. I'd folded everything in and sewn a quarter. So I had to unpick everything and go right back to the start again. Learn by your mistakes.
Yes, very true.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on any of that? Any comments? Thank you for your comments along the way there. I think that's a really nice, simple design. That I can see making loads of those in a day, one for each member of the family. I think that's quite straightforward.
Yeah, well, I've done that. I've got a few on the tree and stuff, and it saved me a few pounds because obviously we're not working as much as we were, and I'm finding I'm hoping the family will appreciate that I've made them a lot more this year than normal.
Yeah, totally. All right. I guess. Well, that was fast. That was a speedy workshop. That was. Please send us photos if you go away and make some of these. Please send us photos. We always like to see people creating things because of a workshop that they've attended here. It'll be up on YouTube probably next week now, but I'll try and email you all to tell you that when it is up there. If you have any questions for me or Caroline in the future as well, please feel free to email me and I'll answer it. If not, Caroline will be able to. Check out our tool library catalogue. Like I say, we've got loads of crafting equipment on there. We've got a steam iron, sewing machines, dressmaking scissors, glue gun, heat gun, carving chisels. We've got loads of interesting craft items on the catalogue. You can find us either just Google search Transition Stirling, or you can that's the easiest way actually, just Google us or transitionstirling.org.uk. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Feel free to email me if you have any issues or questions. Again, Caroline Jones, community artist. Follow her on Instagram and Facebook, and
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Let's grow this. Let's grow this community.
That's okay.
Once again, thank you very much for coming, spending your evening with us. We do enjoy seeing you all come along and get something out of it.
Thank you very much.
And well done, Molly. There was some good spotlighting there.
Thank you.
Yeah, she was working hard behind the scenes.
Yeah,
there.
I did nothing.
I disagree. Okay, cool. Well, good night. We'll see you and on. And if we don't, have a good Christmas and a good New Year.